Am I audible, students? Right. So now next we'll move to so next we'll start with another important object-oriented features. Come in, Ma, come in. So we'll go for the another most important thing, object-oriented or oriented programming principles. So it's also object-oriented programming features. So different people will call on different names. So also object-oriented concepts. There are different names are there here. Object-oriented programming concepts. Okay. So let us start discussing about index. So it's our good practice to say the index here. So the index is very big. Instead of writing that index for by taking long time, I'll show you the index which we are discussing with our students. Okay. So let's show you that. Now let us coming to the index here. So here, if we come to this place, who is this? Sir, yesterday's database closing did not explained. So that is your innocent knowledge. Shravan Kumar. Explained or not explained? That is nothing but auto closable, I said. Already said no? Already said or not? So I already said step number 6 only I said. Auto closable, I said. Need not to close the database connection. Everything I will tell you, Mr. Shravan Kumar, and you be present in the class. Okay. So I will open that. If you go to that place, if you observe it, in this case, steps, if you take it, if you come to my class, everything I will tell you. If you don't listen, we are not responsible. You see here, every program must close the connection. That is called what? Optional. Everything I will tell you need not to close because the reason is what? Auto closable. Okay, Shravan Kumar? Right. Coming to yesterday, you did not explain. That will not be there in my dictionary. Everything I will explain when I am going to take
This
my
meeting
classes.
is being
Okay,
recorded.
Shravan Kumar. Now I'm going to enter into the index. Index of object-oriented programming concepts. That index I'm going to show you here. Let us move to the further. In this place, there is a concept called OOPS. This place, if you look at, this is the concept index. This is very beautiful. And this is only the OOPS features. The OOPS features which you learned in your colleges, that is already OOPS. And the OOPS features which I'm discussing, that is the final for you. That is an ultimate we are going to give you. So what are the advantages of OOPS? Next, list of object-oriented principles. Classes, objects, encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism, message passing. This message passing, once again I'm saying, the students like Shravan Kumar already discussed. What are those? Positional arguments, default arguments, keyword arguments. Next is called variable length arguments, keyword length arguments. That is the same concept once again coming in OOPS in terms of what? In terms of what? Types of arguments passing mechanism. That is comes under here, message passing. Right. So this part already discussed where positional arguments, default arguments, keyword arguments, and the types of arguments passing. That concept only we will be getting once again here. Okay, Shravan Kumar. Again, you will say, sorry, you did not discuss. So I already, this point I already wrote it. Okay, now students, right. What is the classes and object? We will discuss in detail of it. Data encapsulation, data abstraction, inheritance and polymorphism. These two are one pair. These two are another pair. These two are another pair. we are going to discuss one by one. Next, I'm going to talk about what? Classes. Under the classes, we talk about importance and purpose of classes concept, syntax for defining classes concept, types of data members, instance data member, class level data member, types of methods we discuss, instance methods, class level methods, static methods. What is the self and CLS? What is the self and CLS? Programming examples. Related to this, now we are going to enter into the object. There I am talking importance and purpose of object concept, syntax for creating an object, programming examples, and combined programming examples on classes and objects we are going to discuss. This is about classes and object related index. Inside the classes concept, still we are going to discuss constructors in OOPS, constructors, importance and purpose of constructors, types of constructors, default constructors, parameterized constructors, and their rules for using constructors. Example for every type of constructor. This part will be comes under inside of what only? Classes. Next after that, it will be going to enter into where? Data encapsulation and data abstraction. Once you know classes and object well with this up to here, we are entering into the next level. Abstraction and encapsulation, importance and purpose of data encapsulation, importance and purpose of data abstraction, implementation of data encapsulation and abstraction, and programming examples, many more examples on this area. Next after that, we are coming to what? Inheritance and polymorphism. Under inheritance, we are talking why we use inheritance, how many types of inheritances are there, single, multi-level, hierarchical, multiple, hybrid. Syntax for using inheritance in Python, programming examples. And in the part of inheritance, we talk about method overriding in OOPS, importance and purpose of method overriding, memory management in method overriding, programming examples. Similarly, we are going to get constructor overriding. Java will not support constructor overriding because it is a Python related concept. So, importance and purpose of constructor overriding, memory management in constructor overriding, and programming examples. So, next is called what? Polymorphism. Importance and purpose of polymorphism, difference between polymorphism and inheritance, method overriding with polymorphism, constructor overriding with polymorphism, super and class name approaches in polymorphism, programming examples. This is my index, such a great index and super index, which is not found in any of the internet websites. Such a great concept I am going to explain. Everybody need to follow carefully and should not miss this class. This will continue for a weekdays concept. These are weekdays concept. 1 week completely I'm going to discuss. Shall we start now? Right. Online students, shall we start? Shall we start this concept now? Everybody need to respond. Right. Good. So let us move to the importance of this object oriented programming. So index you have seen. Check this index everywhere else, which I'll post this index in the Google Drive, Google Classroom. You check that index everywhere. Students, in real time, if you go for it, to develop any project, to develop any project, to develop any project, we use a language compulsory. It is necessary to use a language. Without language, there is no big application development. Behind of every project, one language will compulsory present. Right? If we take Java full stack, Java language will be there. If we take Python full stack, Python is compulsory, the backbone for the languages. If we take .NET full stack, C#.NET will be the programming languages. So in industry, either Python programmers will be there, or Java programmers will be there, or .NET programmers will be there to develop large scale applications. And whose package also very high, very high. And rest of them supporting teams, rest of the things are, rest of them These three full stack. Other than that is called what? Supporting team like. So in any kind of languages, we need to choose a language. We need a language. We need to use. We need to use a language. We need to use a language. Carefully listen. We need to use a language. This language, that language, a language. We need to choose a language. That language satisfies students two types of principles. Two types of principles. Two types of principles. They are, number one is called function oriented principles. Function oriented principles. Function oriented principles. Function oriented principles. That is also known as what, somebody else will call it as what? Procedure oriented principles. Procedure oriented principles. Procedure oriented principles. Second is known as what, object oriented principles. Object oriented principles. So here we call it as what? Simply OOPS we can call. Are you able to follow? Now, why we go for object oriented principles? First question will be coming. What are the advantages of object oriented principles? Why should I go for object oriented principles? Is the first point. Now, as far as this function oriented principles are concerned, procedure oriented principles are concerned, I'm going to give certain examples here. So, in this place, we are supposed to learn it. What are the examples comes under that star? First of all, examples. C is one of the best language. Of course, C is one of the language which will be satisfied with what? Procedure oriented, or function oriented. Next is called Pascal. Pascal, that you don't know. That you don't know. When we were the students, we have in the first year, first semester, this was there in the, when we were the students in first year engineering, Pascal was there. Pascal is also one of the procedure oriented programming. And we have COBOL also, COBOL, which is used in IBM mainframes nowadays. Right. And next is we are having, next concept is up to Oracle 7.3, up to Oracle 7.3. Next is called what, 8086 programming language. 8086 programming language. That is called assembly language programming. These are all the things you don't know. You know C language, but you don't know the subject. Correct? Correct or not? So you know C, but you don't know the real meaning of C language. Now, students, extra I'm writing Python is also called what? Object function oriented programming. That's why we discussed such a great concept in functions. Have you remembered functions? Special functions, anonymous functions, list comprehensions. So much of content is discussed. So Python is also comes under what? Function oriented principles. Next is called what? If I develop any application with the function oriented or procedure oriented, what are the drawbacks the people has identified? Such a drawbacks are overcoming in where? Object oriented principles. Such a drawbacks are overcome in where? Object oriented principles. Which languages comes under object oriented principles? I am going to write it. I am going to write it. Number one is called Object Pascal. Object Pascal. Pascal is different from Object Pascal. We have next is called what, Object COBOL. Object COBOL. Next is called what, from Oracle 8 onwards. Oracle 8 onwards. Oracle 8 onwards. And the next is called what, Lisp. LISP. Small talk. Small talk. Small talk. Next is called Java. Next is called C Sharp.net. C Sharp.net. Next is called Ruby. Ruby. Next is called what? Python. Python is also called what? As on today, almost all the languages and technologies are satisfying what? Object-oriented principles only. But nobody will explain how OOPs are actually really working. Suppose you learned Oracle, correct? You learned MySQL. Did they explain OOPs principles there? Never. You learned Java. Will they explain object-oriented principles? Never. Because the people who are coming newly in the teaching positions, they are just bluffing the people, which I am seeing that. Because out of subject knowledge, having little of English knowledge, they are coming and disturbing the students. So even HTML also same thing. What is happening in industry, these people don't know. So that's why you need to observe practically. And of course, student cannot know that. Within 10 days, if they complete what you will do, you will listen and you will keep it quiet. That's why before going to learn anything, you have to see the content of it. And that content you have to search everywhere in the internet. That is what you have to do it. Otherwise, people will do something with you. So, anyhow, be careful from now onwards. Object-oriented principles, if you take it, this kind of things are comes under this. The main point is what? Python belongs to what? Function-oriented also, as well as Python belongs to what? Object-oriented also. So this is one of the unique language. Even JavaScript also object-oriented. You know that JavaScript also object-oriented. Did they explain the hierarchy of JavaScript completely? JavaScript completely they've explained the hierarchy. One window is there. One formula window is there. With that formula, you can write any code. Any code you can write it. So that is object-oriented hierarchy. That is object-oriented hierarchy. That is called. They need to use it. Did they explain? No. So that's what I'm saying. So when you come to this place, anyhow, you come to this place, under the object-oriented principles, under the function-oriented principles, procedure-oriented principles, we are going to discuss. Now I'm going to write it. Here, I'm commenting, since I'm a Python faculty, I want to discuss about the function-oriented principles with Python, object-oriented principles with Python. Here I want to discuss. Here Python belongs to both. Python belongs to what? Both. Come on. Function oriented, and the next is called what? And come on, object oriented. Object oriented. Python belongs to both function oriented and object oriented programming language. So it is listed under function belongs to what? Both function oriented as well as what? Object oriented programming language. But but internally, but internally, Python Python satisfies Python internally in Python. I'll show you that internal software development also. But in Python, everything is called what? Hmm, everything is what? Object. This is a very, very important point, students. Everything is an object. That's why in the day one onwards, I inculcated the word called what? Object. Understand? So in the day one onwards, in the data types onwards, class, object, literal, and then type of that you need to take. So what happens because of everything is an object, that is indirectly everything is an object in Python. What will be the advantage? Everything is an object. Everything is an object. What is an advantage? So I'm going to write it. Advantages. I'm going to talk it. So whatever I'm talking that are simply called as what? Advantages of advantages of advantages of object oriented principles. These points I would like to speak about it. This opposite, if I take it, that are called what that are called what students. Whatever we are talking about that are comes under limitations of what? Function oriented things. Or if you want to me to speak about the function oriented in the form of a simple things, if you develop any application with what with the C programming, with the purely functional oriented, there are some drawbacks are available. What is the first drawback? The first advantage you have seen in the object oriented? You tell me first, so that you can understand other things. Because you don't know C language now, I will make you to understand C language also by going to this place. First one, can you tell me? Because of everything is an object, what is the special advantage? Because you forget, almost you forget. Go to the place. Sir, where you taught that point, sir? 7 a.m. 7 a.m. If you don't remember that, you can't understand the taste of the subject. Features of Python, platform independent. Platform independent. Here in the platform independent, here it is available. What is happening here, you see, it is happening in Python, all values are stored in where? Objects. Because of storing everything in an object, Java objects contain size restricted and memory space restricted, whereas Python objects contains what? Unlimited size and stores unlimited values. Explained or not explained? Explained or not explained? If you forget, then what is the use? Other people did not tell, but even I tell, you did not remember. And what is the difference? Difference undal kada. You need to have difference now. Others did not say, you don't know. Okay, that is okay. Genuine. But I explained, you did not remember. Here did not remember, here did not remember. When both the people are visible, you will see that you will not remember. Then what is the difference? Explain now. I'm showing in front of you. So this part, if you come, I'm going to write the first part of that here. Because of object storing, object concept stores or object stores. What we can store, I can write it. We can store, we can store unlimited amount of data, unlimited amount of data in the form of what? In the form of what? Object. That you have already experienced in the class. If you take Java related variables and Python related variables, Python objects are so powerful because they are storing what data? Unlimited amount of data. When I was stored in Java language, it was giving some error now. Integer is too large to store the data, but in Python, it is going to store more amount of data or not. You want to see once again? I'll show you. Go to the place, C colon, program files, Java, JDK 17, bin. I will go to J shell. I'll go to J shell. Go to the J shell. I'll come to this place. Here I'm writing it. It is a Java related. There I'm writing int a is equal to 10. Okay. A is equal to 89888. Okay. A is equal to 999999. It is going to give you what? Integer number is too large. Understood? Because int is a keyword here. Already shown you in the beginning level only, no? We are almost coming to an ending. And if we come to this is called too large, go to the Python environment, students. Go to the Python environment. So where is my Python environment? Go to the Python environment here. So I'm going to take Python environment. You start here. There I'm going to write it. Python environment. There I'm writing a is equal to 10. Print of a comma type of a, which is going to print a is equal to 99999. Print this a value here. A is equal to 9999999. Such a big number I'm storing. Print that A. It is printed. What is the beauty behind that? Because int is what? And what is A? Object. So in Python, everything is what? So because of object, what is the beauty of it? We can store more amount of data. Did you understand this point? So in storage point of view, who will provide more capacity to hold it? Come on. Right. Not Python, my dear student. Object. Object is the principle of what? Oops. That object principle satisfied by which language? Python. Java also satisfies object-oriented principles, but Java is going to contain what? Fundamental data types are there. And Java object, that's what I said here. Hence, a Java object is size restricted. 4 means only 4. 5 means only 5. 6 means 6. But in Python, it is not like that. You can take 7 values, 8 values, everything. That time I gave Java code I wrote, Python code I wrote. I shown you both of them if you remember it. So this can store unlimited amount of data. That's the best advantage of it. Now I concluded my sentences. Objects of any language has to store what? Unlimited amount of data. Fundamental data will take only up to certain amount of data you have seen practically, and that I shown you multiple times. And when you come to this place, non-object data, functional oriented means what? No objects. Non-objects. That is nothing but what? Data is what? Limited. Data is limited. We can store limited amount of data. We can store limited amount of data. We can store limited amount of data. Limited data is we can store limited amount of data. So limited amount of data. Here I will write it. Limited amount of data because they are going to take everything is what? Because of what here? Non-object approach. Non-object approach. Okay. Because of non-object approach, what is the basic restriction here? First restriction, number one, suppose I am developing one web application or I'm developing one application which can transfer data from one machine to another machine. This is called the machine M1, device M1. This is another device M2. So here I'm having some 1,000 values are available. 1,000 values are available. I want to transfer the values from mission M1 to what? Mission M2. So definitely here I need to have one application or not. One app must be there. Here also one application must be there to receive the data and sending the data. Assume that this app is developed in which languages? The languages which satisfies what? Procedure oriented principle, like a C language. How this application will send this data? This will be sending to another device and receiving the value from another device in the form of what? Value by value it can transfer. How it will transfer? Value by value. Suppose out of 1,000 values, you sent 500 values already. To send the rest of 500 values, the network issue has come. Half of the values you delivered. Half of the values is unable to deliver because of what? Network issue. That time what will happen? Is it a problem of transmission time is wasted or not? So what the rule says? This is the first drawbacks. Another drawback of what? Non-object approach. What is an object approach says? What is an object approach says? I will create B is equal to what I am saying. Bag. B is equal to bag. What this bag says? What is the bag here? L is equal to list of, D is equal to dict of, T is equal to tuple of. What are those things are called? Object creation. Today, B is equal to bag of. What is this B is called? Object. What is the bag is called? Class. Inside of that bag, I will keep all my values. I will send this B object at a time. At a time I can send. If I send at a time, if any network issue is there, total gone. Second time I can send because all the times it won't be failure now. The moment when it's sent, at a time we are going to send it. So is it going to be reducing lot of communication time or not? So because of object transmission, all the values can send at a time and we get what? Effective communication time. Take the best example. You want to go to the native place. So you are going to take a bag. Inside the bag, all items you will keep it and you will carry what? Multiple items you are carrying in a single object. What that single object is called? Object. So in normal life also we are following what? Oops principles. And we should not tell normal life principles when you go to Wipro. Generally in your colleges, what they will say? Object example, bus, lorry, donkey, that, this they will tell. These are all called cock and bullock stories. You have to go for application-based examples you have to tell. Are you following me? So tell me what is the another importance of object? Object have a capacity to transfer multiple values at a time. So which will give you what communication? Effective communication. That is one advantage. Second advantage, when you are sending the values value by value, when you are sending, if it is a functional oriented, if you take it, when you are using functional oriented programming, when you are sending value by value, the value is explored in the internet address bar. The value when you are transmitting in the web application development, the moment when you are transferring the value by value, the browser explore the values what you are sending. That means a hacker can see that value very clearly. It means functional oriented programming languages explore the data as a part of the address bar. That means whatever data you are sending, that data is simply which text it is, plain text format it is sending. Which text format it is sending? Plain text format. Who can understand plain text? Everybody will understand plain text. That gives you security problems or not? Any hacker will hack that kind of thing. That is easy to modify. So non-object concept transmit your values in the form of what? Plain text, which can be explored, which can be seen by anybody else. That is the drawback of what? Function-oriented principles. When you come to object-oriented programming, students, the data we are going to keep it inside the bag, and that bag is containing the values inside, and nobody knows what are the values present in the object. When I'm sending this object to another device, the object data is not explored as a part of your address bar, which is sent secretly to the another type of device. So where is the security is achieved? Where is the security is achieved? In the form of what? Object. All your financial transactions which are going on in the internet, the applications and apps are designed with what? Object oriented principles. So who will provide the security to my data in the internet? Objects will provide. Who cannot provide the security? Functional oriented programming languages related applications are very weak in security. So I can say what now? Object functional oriented principles will give you what? Transmit the data in the form of which text? Plain text. In the form of which text? Plain text. So plain text it will be transmitted. Or that will give you what security? Poor security will be given. Poor security will be given. I think you are following me. And the data which is present in one device able to transfer, or the data able to transfer value by value only we are transferring, but not able to transfer all at once, not able to transfer all at once. That gives you what communication? Poor communication it will result. So I want to go for what? All at once to transfer. All at once to transfer means I need to go for which concept? Object. Simple. This is a room number one. Room number one contains 100 books. 100 books. I want to transfer these books into where? Room number two. Generally, what is the procedure? If the person who is transferring the functional oriented programming, he will transfer book by book, right or not? Book by book, he will transfer. It takes how many to and fro calls between these two rooms? 200, 200 fro calls it will take. For one book, he is going there, taking the book and coming for second book. He is moving around these two rooms for 200 times it will take. Is it not lot of time taking? But we want what? If we go for object-oriented programming, how it is done? Creating a bag. You are creating a bag here. B is equal to bag of. Keep all these books in this bag and transfer this B at a time. How these values are transferred all at once or one by one? So which one is the best approach? All at once transferring is better or one by one is transferring is better? All at once is transferring is better. That is called what? The effective communication is available in the case of what? Object-oriented programming. And the next one I'm going to take up, the fourth one I'm going to talk about it. Another kind of thing, function-oriented principles. Do you know, students, when I'm writing any function, even in Python also, where are you representing the data in the functions? At least you answer my question. Data is nothing but what I'm giving one hint also for you. I'm giving one hint also for you. Data is nothing but input only, no? Data is called input. Based on the data only, you will take the decisions, right or not? Tell me, where are you taking the data in functions? Where are you taking the data? You're not able to answer because the input can be taken in two places, either inside the function call or inside the function body. Already said, taking values, returning values, not taking values, not returning, not returning, not taking, returning. Explained. Huh? So data is available either inside the function body or inside the function call. Suppose I want to go for calculating sum of two numbers 1020, sub of 1020, MUL of 1020, and a division of 1020. Like that 1020 I want to use in 7 operations. Take an example of I want to go forward, taking the input inside the body. How many times you will write 1020 A is equal to 1020, B is equal to 10 and B is equal to 20? How many times you will write? 7 times I will write it. Is it not waste of time? Is it not memory space is wasted? If you take a function call, 1020 we are passing in every function call. That means when I'm taking the input from function call. So data is available in where in function. C language also same. C++ also same. Java also same. When you deal with the functions. So data is available. Data is available. hmm, Available either in function call. Function call. I already explained this example. Or what? Function body. Function body. Approach number one, approach number two, four approaches explained. So the data is present either in function call or in function body. In simple word, data is available around the functions. Data is available around the functions. I'm writing simply or available around the functions. Around the functions. So if I have a value of 1020 for 20 times, 20 times I'm writing, it is my waste of time. So how can I overcome that? In object oriented programming, we will keep that object data how many times? One time only. Where I will keep it? In the object. In the object. Some function will operate on that object, sub function will operate on the object. Every function will operate on the object. Best example is what? List data you take it. LST is equal to list of append, append, append. Copy, copy, copy. Insert. Everything is operating on what? List only. So data is available in object-oriented programming in where? In central location called what? Object. So object gives you what? Less memory space for storing the data. That is an ultimate point. So when I take an object here O1, which is having the data called 1020, which is AB, I can do what now? Sum. I want to do sum. What I will do? O1 dot sum I am saying. O1 dot sum I am saying. Sum function operating on which data? O1. O1 dot sub. Sub function is operating the data on what? O1. But how many times I was written? One time only I was written it. List is the best example. Dictionary is the best example that you have done already in the data types. So once you store the data in object, many function can operate on it. So we don't store the data in functions in object oriented. We store the data in where? Object. That is only beginning onwards we are talking. In Python, values are stored always in the form of what? Objects. On objects, functions will operate. That is the best procedure. So students, this is one thing. Data is available around the functions. And in functional oriented programming, there is no concept of, no concept of, no concept of, no concept of No concept of reusability. I'm going to tell you this meaning. What is the meaning of reusability, students? Reusability meaning is 2 points has to come. One is neither I will write the code nor it should take the memory space. That is known as what? Reusability. Example, you are the student, you want to pay the college fees. You need to pay 1 lakh fees to the college. What you will do? You are not earning and paying, correct? You are getting the money which is already earned by your parents. So that is known as what? Being a child of the parent, you are not earning the money. You are not putting your efforts to go for what? Earning that. So your parents are giving the money. That means already they worked it. They keep it ready. The code is keep it ready. What are you doing? You are reusing it. Neither you are earning nor you are taking the memory space for storing the data. Simply you are make your task to be completed. That is called what? Reusability. In another way, I wrote 20 lines of code. That is common for all my students. What my students are doing? They are getting my code into your context. Without writing the code you are getting, plus without taking the memory space also, you can use my result. That is known as what? Reusability. Best example, all mobile software. When new model of mobile is coming, previous features will be carry forwarded. So how they are coming for every 6 months, some new models are coming in the mobile because they are reusing the old features and they are adding some extra feature to it. So reusability meaning is we are getting previous code development as it is into my current development. Neither we write the source code nor that previous code will take the space in my context. You may ask a question, sir, in Python functional oriented, we are using the concept of modules. Did you remember, students? Modules concept you remembered. Modules concept you take it. Packages concept you take it. Schema x.py. I'm talking coming to py Python. Is def fun1 fun1. This is the fun1. This will be taking some statements. Some statements. Okay. Def fun2. Def fun2. This is called fun2. Like that, number of functions are available. Are you following, students? Now there I am writing, here I am writing, y.py is on another programmer. Do you know what is doing? From X, import fun1, comma, fun2. I am writing some statements here. From X, import function 1, comma, function 2. So what is this X is called a module. fun1 is called what? Name of the function. Every function name in Python is called what? Hmm. Every function name in Python is what? Third time. Every function name in Python is what? Venkat. Wrong answer. Every Python in function name is what? Hmm. Object. Who is the class? ఎక్కడ చెప్పాను సార్ అది? సార్ వేర్ యూ సెట్ సార్ గో. మీరు గజనీలు అంతా. So go to the place. Functions. Functions you go. So approach syntax, you open it. Syntax. Syntax for defining the function. You see. చెప్పిన ఫ్యాకల్టీ గుర్తుపెట్టుకోరు, చెప్పని వాళ్ళని కూడా గుర్తుపెట్టుకోరు. అందరూ ఒకటే. ఎవరీ ఫంక్షన్ నేమ్ is a valid variable name treated as a function name. Every function name is an object whose type is what? Class function. Explain. Indian Constitution. Even if you forget, memories are fixed. If you don't remember, I'm not responsible because I'm a fully showing practical environment from my side. 0.1 mistake also not there from my side, where everything is carry forwarded. Then student can understand what is the meaning of subject. So the moment when you go for fun1, what is fun1? Is an object, function name only, but it is an object. Every object will take definitely some space or not. That means when I am going to reuse through module, this function names are two function names you are taking. Those two function names will take the memory space. Are you getting me? Even though I'm going to say with modules I'm importing, these two functions will take memory space. If I import the statement in 20x, y, z, k, lmn programs, if I reuse it, in all the times what it will take, memory space it will take. Is it not taking more memory space? So there is no concept of reusability. In which languages? Function oriented places. But sir, in Python, what is available again? In Python, especially, it is a object-oriented programming. It is containing what? Inheritance is available. What is inheritance? What is your lifetime? I said your parents' money you are paying. That is called what? Inheritance concept only. What is inheritance is? We get the previous code as it is. They won't take memory space. They won't take any physical source code you are developing. Inheritance is also one of the reusable technique in OOPS. Modules are one of the reusable technique in functional programming. So modules reusability will take memory space. But one of the advantages in modules is what? You are not writing source code, but memory space is taking or not. But when you come to inheritance, what will happen? Neither we write source code nor takes what? Memory space. That's why reusability is more in where? Object oriented programming. No reusability in which languages? So when you come to this object oriented programming, we are going to say data is going to be coming under in the form of what? Ciphertext. Have you heard about ciphertext? Ciphertext is nothing but what? Encrypted format. Encrypted format. Data cannot be seen by the people. When you are keeping the data, when you are transmitting over the network, it cannot be. So that it is going to provide what? Effective security will be provided. So that's why in every application development, object oriented principles are compulsory used. And all the things, whatever the Oracle and MySQL you learned it, internally they are containing what? Object oriented principles. And ciphertext security will be done. And the data which is available transmitted all at once. Here, able to transfer value by value, but not able to transfer all at once. In the case of object oriented, we are able to transfer all at once. Getting what communication here? Poor communication. Here we are able to get it what? Effective communication. The best example I said now, even general example also I said you. In the case of you are going to the native place or you are going to shift your location, you are packing everything and you are going all at once at a time or no? Packing all at once in one place is known as what? Object only. So another point is called what in the case of this part, that no data is available around the functions here, but the data is available in the form of what? Objects. So the data is available around the objects. Every value is going to be stored in the form of object. And the next is called what? Reusability concept we are talking. Here there is we can build and reusable applications. There is a concept of what? Reusability. What is the concept we are using there? Inheritance we are using now. Inheritance concept makes you to work on neither we write the source code nor they takes the physical memory space, which I'll explain in the class. Because in the index, I already mentioned it. This inheritance will give you what? The point what I wrote it. This is the overall advantages of what? Oops. These principles development only. So some open community came into the picture. They developed what principles? Object oriented principles. To say any language, to say any language is object oriented, it has to satisfy certain principles. A student is sincere, need to satisfy certain principles. Need to wake up at 5 o'clock, need to read the Python notes, need to practice daily 2 hours, 2 hours reading. Are you following me? All these things, if you do, these are all called sincere policies. If any student satisfy these policies, they are called what? Sincere student. Like that, to say any language is object oriented, the language has to satisfy some principles. These principles called what? Object oriented principles, which are developed by If you ask object-oriented principles developed by whom, if Python people will ask, they will say Guido van Rossum. If they ask Java programmers, they will say James Gosling. If they ask C++ programmers, they will say that scientist name. But object-oriented principles are developed by a open group of people that is called Object Management Group. Object Management Group, OMG Group. What is OMG? Object Management Group. When I asked last time what is OMG means, they said, oh my God. These are all called extra creativity, this is called. So Object Management Group. Spell out. These people developed what? Object oriented principles, because these are the expert group. They designed these principles. These principles are satisfied by Java, Python, almost all the technologies and languages which are available in the present world. Everybody satisfies this kind of principles. What are those principles, students? What principles they satisfied? Classes, objects, encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism, and what? Message passing. In some of the internet websites, they will be writing only these four. They will be writing only these four. Even some of the college faculties will say only four. Now the question, tell them straightforward, sir, write a program, one program you write with inheritance. Definitely they have to use which concept? Definitely they have to create what? Then what are classes and object then? Just actually, this is called their own spicy they will add to the subject. Finally, who is a sufferer? Student is a sufferer. Why unemployment is coming like this? Even though there are so many opportunities, why they are having unemployment? Because of lack of skill set. Lack of skill set. These days, even the influence is there for you, it will not work out. You need to have a perfect skill set. The correct knowledge is required. Adding some spicy to the subject explaining is completely wrong. Data encapsulation program you want to write, abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism, any program if you want to write of these four, what some of the people are saying, definitely they are supposed to use what? Class and object. The big scientists said that these are the OOPS principles. Actually, OOPS principles are eight. Dynamic binding is also one OOPS principle. That dynamic binding principles automatically satisfied in Python. Automatically satisfied in Python, because dynamic binding is little difficult. It is automatically satisfied in which language? Python they satisfied already. Are you following, students? So coming to the point of it, this was automatically satisfied in Python programming. So that's why dynamic binding I did not write, because I did not write in the sense they did not given in the PSF documentation. Why? It is already satisfied in the Python programming. If you go to Java, dynamic binding is compulsory. I think you are following me. So any language is going to be an object oriented. It has to satisfy these principles. What are the principles? Classes, spell out all of you. Classes, objects, encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism, message passing. Message passing is nothing but transmitting the data from function call to function definition. That is called what? Message passing. That can be done through five mechanisms. That five mechanisms already explained or not? That mechanisms once again here. And the functions we discussed now, that functions will come in classes that are called what? Methods we can call. Subprogram is written in functional area. It is known as what? Function. The same subprogram I am using in where? Oops. That subprogram is known as what? Method. So what is the difference between function and method? Function is in functional area. Subprogram in functional area is called function. Subprogram in OOPS is called method. Not getting. You are living in India. You are called Indian. Same thing person going to USA. After some days, he will become citizen of that country or not. Same person only. He is going to be called what? American. Same thing. Person is same. Name is same. Eyes are same. Only dress will change. Correct or not? Because you will follow that dressing. But everything is same, na? Same thing. Here also, every function is going to be coming into this object-oriented programming. That skeleton is same. but extra something will be having CLS, self and all those things will come. So finally, students, if you follow me carefully, I'm going to show you one simplest documentation now. So I'm going to say here one small thing I'm going to show you here. What will be the introduction to object oriented principles? See, my dear students, all of you read, everybody read out. In real time, to develop any project, we need to choose a language. The language which we select for developing real-time project can satisfy two types of principles. They are procedure-oriented or functional-oriented principles, object-oriented principles. In other words, in industry, we have two types of programming languages. They are procedure or functional-oriented programming languages, object-oriented programming languages. First one, procedure or functional-oriented programming languages. There I'm going to say, if a programming language satisfies procedure or functional oriented principles, then that languages are called procedure or functional oriented. C, Pascal, COBOL, Python, etc. Object oriented programming. If programming language satisfies object oriented principles, then that languages are called object oriented programming languages like Lisp, Smalltalk, Ruby, C++, Java, C Sharp.NET, Python from Oracle 8 onwards. And Python is belongs to both functional as well as object oriented. Now coming to this, even though Python belongs to both functional and what object oriented programming languages, internally everything treated as an object. You take functions of Python. Function name itself is an object or not? What is the drawback of functional area? You tell me. If I reuse that function through module in another program, true, from module name import that function name. That function name is an object now. It will take the memory space in that program where you imported or not. If the function imported 20 times in my 20 programs, definitely that function name is an object. It takes 20 times memory space. Got it or not? If the same concept is implemented in where object oriented, 20 times memory space will not take. One time only memory space will take. But what is an advantage of modules? One time only will write the source code, but every time the memory space is taken. Code reusability is okay, but function will is an object. Takes the memory space or not? But what we need, code reusability I want to get, but the space I don't want to take. That is called inheritance. We can build a lot of reusable applications in Python. Come to the point of it. Everything is an object advantages. Advantages of oops. Object stores what? Unlimited amount of data. The large volume of data transferred between multiple remote machines all at once and gets what? Effective communication. The confidential data transferred between multiple remote machines in the form of ciphertext so that security enhanced, that is improved. Enhancement is nothing but what? Improved. Next, the data will always available around the objects and gives what memory space? Less memory space. In functions, what you will do? The data will be storing again and again in multiple places. But in the case of object-oriented programming, we'll store the data how many times? One time only. That will give you always what? Less memory space. We can build high-end reusable applications by using. So inheritance says what? Neither takes memory space for uh, source code reusability or we don't write the source code. Neither we write source code nor takes the memory space for the source code reusability. That means totally what? Once somebody develop it, I can use it without writing, without having physical memory space. That is a completely ultimate advantage. That's why most of the robotics designing, AI applications, they will use OOPS only. Are you following me? So when you go to an interview point of view, they may not ask you write the program using OOPS, but they will ask you completely OOPS principles. What is a class? They will ask you. In your colleges, they said a class is a collection of objects, which is a blunder. Which is a blunder. How it is a blunder? We are going to discuss one by one. Class is not a collection of objects. Inside the class, if I write now, it's a wonder. Help of list, I said. Did you remember help of list? Inside objects are there. Inside objects are there. No. Inside what are there? Functions are there. which I have shown you so many times. Go to once, here I am writing help of what? List you say once, help of list. List. Inside what are there? Functions are there. You know, many functions we discussed already. These double underscore functions, you don't worry. These are all called what? Append, clear. These are all called what? Functions now. See, self is taking self out. That means class list is called what? They used Whoops to development of this kind of libraries. All the libraries of Python developed using what? Whoops only they used it. So that's why Whoops concepts you have to learn. See, self is coming. Are you following, students? This type of thing, it is comes under what mechanism? Object-oriented mechanism. In the class, what is present? Not objects will present. Class is not a collection of objects. Class is going to be something different. Is it clear up to here? So now I am going to say one more thing. Look at that. Start all of you. Object-oriented principles or concepts or features. To say any programming language is object-oriented, then it has to satisfy the following principles. What are that? Classes, objects, data encapsulation, data abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism, message passing. These are the Whoops principles. What is our discussion? We talk about all these features with programming. So first I will start with what? Class. Simple. Online students, can you respond once? Did you understand up to here what I discussed it? Need to respond. Is it clear for all of you? Need to respond. Right. Let me go to the further. Let me go to the further. Now I'm writing about class concept here. I'm writing 4 points about class. That's all. Apply that Whoops class concept on Java, C++, Python, everywhere, wherever Whoops concepts is coming, you follow my concept. Syntax will differ from one language to another language. What remains same? What remains same? Concept remains same. Class concept remains same in all object-oriented programming languages. What will be different? Syntax. Correct? Fine. Now, go to the class concept. Take a best example. Once again, I am giving. During platform independent time, I explained. Again, I am giving. Now I am coming to in detail about what? What is a class? Understand? So let me ask you a question. Where do you store the data in Python? Object. Behind object, who is there? Class. If class is not there, only object if you create, you will get what error? Name error. Which error? Hmm. Take the example. Okay, that knowledge already you are having in the brain. Now, you want to construct a house. You want to construct a house. So in your house, you can store all your books, varieties of items you can store. So you want to construct a house. To construct a house, what you need? Plan. Yes or no? To construct a house, what do you need? Plan. So plan first, house construction first, plan first. That plan makes you to understand how many rooms are there, what are those dimensions, how many ventilators are there, what is the surrounding area, what is the corridor for your kind of home. Almost all the dimensions specification is mentioned in your plan. That plan is just like a formula to construct my house. That house plan is called what? Class. First general knowledge. That house plan is called what? Class. Using that plan, you are giving one illiterate. That illiterate will construct the building or not? What is the main base for constructing that building? Plan. Plan is containing every dimension or not? Every measurement is there, he will construct. But the person who designed that plan is a more qualified than this person or not? House building person is more qualified. A house plan designing person is more qualified. Designing person is more qualified than this constructing person, right or not? So house plan first, house construction first. That is known as what? Specification. Don't call it the blueprint, yellow print, green print and all. Chandramouli, my dear student. Generally, blueprint will call because these are all our college people has given that. When I say blueprint, some people will make a joke with you. What is yellow print? They will ask. Green print, they will ask. Why that rolling on that area? So you need to go for what? Specification of my real-time problem is called what? Class. One more example. Hyundai, Maruti, some car manufacturers want to release a new model of the car. New model of the car. What they will do first? Will they directly prepare the car up? No, they will go for modeling or not. That modeling they will make you to a research and development team will come. By studying the customer requirement, they will prepare the model. Model they will prepare. Passengers, how many need to sit in the back side? Driver seat, co-driver, and then passengers, how many? Two people back side, two people front side. Like that, they will design the car model or not. That car model will be observed by a lot of researchers in the same company. Once everybody is satisfied, they will send the specification to the manufacturing unit. Every year, new model will come or not. Some improved model will come. Getting students. So before building the car, what they will design? Specification they will design. Correct or not? Coronavirus vaccine came. Before coronavirus vaccine preparation, they prepared the formula now. Correct or not, students? That means anything is visible in front of you is called what? Physically feeling, which takes the memory space, which is an object. To build that object internally, some formula is taken place. That formula or specification is called what? Class. So object first, class first. But when the car model is there, you never sit in that model. Will you sit in that model? House plan is there. Will you put your book on the house plan? So house plan is a specification. Car model is a specification which you cannot sit or which you cannot store the data over there. There is a class only. So class doesn't contain the memory space. When I implement the class, when I bring the class into implementation, that will create what? Object. So where you can store the data? Object. So class and object are just like a main pillars. So if I want to store the data, object I need. To create an object, definitely what I require? Class is required. Last example. You want to prepare, you want to have a shirt, shirt to create, shirt to stitch. What tailor will take first? Specification of your measurements. Your measurements you will take in the paper, right or not? And you are giving the cloth to him. Cloth, plain cloth you are giving. And that person will cut according to the specification he has taken it. So the specification written on the paper, will you wear that specification related paper? No, it is called what? Class. That specification implementation, he is implementing that. That is going to preparing your shirt. That shirt is nothing but having some space. So specification is always called class and implementation is called. So just to tell me here, class is nothing but just a specification. It doesn't contain memory space. Are you getting my point? Specification means what to present, what not to present, everything will be there. But in the case of object, whatever is specified inside the object, same thing will be reflected in where? Object. If I mention in my house construction 3 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms will be there in my physical house also or not? One puja room is there in the house specification that will come as it is in this place. Yes or no? Swimming pool is not there, definitely swimming pool is not there in the house. Getting or not? So whatever is there in the class specification, they will reflect in where? Object with the memory space. Getting or not getting up? You want to go for constructing the one bag you want to construct with the 3 shelves inside the bag. So definitely tailor will see the 3 shelves in the bag or not? 2 shelf bag you want, 3 shelf bag you want. You want 3 shelf, one laptop, one carriage box, and one other books you want to keep it. So tailor will stitch according to our specification only. What I am trying to say, whatever is there in the class, same thing will reflect to where? Object. Who will not contain memory space? Class will not contain memory space. Who will contain memory space? Object will contain memory space. So to create an object, what should come first? Class. So class first, object first. What you see in front of your eyes are called types. What is behind the type is called what? Class. You are all called what? Types of students. You have memory space to sit, to stand. When you are moving, some weight is there. Your types of students are called what? Object. Behind the object, there is a student is there. Student is called what? Class. Types of students are called what? Objects. Only student is not. Types of students are there. Types of students are called what? Object. Just a student is right. Types of cars, object. Only car is a specification. Inside the car, you are mentioning how many types of passengers to sit, co-passengers, driver seat, how many AC variants, how many airbags. You are mentioning everything in the specification. When it comes to the actual preparation, that actual preparation will come with that kind of things. Are you following me? Similarly, when you come to our Python programming, you have seen int class, float class, 14 data types you have seen. All the 14 data types are what? Classes. Beginning of the lines I used, right? Int is a predefined class, treated as a fundamental. List is a predefined class, treated as what? List data type. Dict is a predefined class, treated as a dict kind of thing. They are all going to store their own data or not? But I want to store my own data. I want to have my own functions. List will have some 12 functions or that. Set is having some 13 functions or not. I want to store my own data. I want to do my own operations. I want to create a student class. In that number, name, marks, college name I want to store. I want to calculate get total marks, get grade, get the student details, and display student details. Is these functions are available in list, tuple, and etc. places? No. So if I want to define my own classes, I need to go for which concept? Classes. The 14 data types are called which data types? Predefined data types. To define my own data type, I must go for which concept? That's why class concept is used for which concept? Programmer defined data types. Purpose of classes concept is what? To define what? Programmer defined data type. What is the use of programmer defined data type? What is the use of programmer defined data type? What is the predefined data type? How many predefined data types are there? 14. All 14 data types are having their own rules and regulations or not. But today I want to design my own rules. To design my own rules, I have to define my own programmer defined data types or not. That's why we use which concept. So the first point is called what? Purpose of program classes used to develop programmer defined data types plus every real time application in Oops must starts with which concept? Class. Every object oriented programming must starts with a specification. That is called a concept. Every Python program must starts with which concept? Classes concept. Classes concept. I hope you are following me. Sir, what is the need of development of programmer defined data types? The need of development of the need of programmer defined data type is not to store customized data. Customized data. Customized data means what? List is having its own principles. Tuple is having its own principles. I want to define my own data which I like it. That is another known as customization or not. Plus, I want to provide what? Customized operations. Customized operations. Customized operations means what? Functions. Who will perform the operations? Functions. Functions. Already functions over. In the concept of functions, go to the 7 a.m. Go to the 7 a.m. Under functions, you go for it. Functions in Python. Functions are used for performing certain operation and provides what? My own functions. Calculate total marks, decide the grade. These are all called what? Functions. That's why I wrote a word called what? Customized operations, customized data, customized data, customized operations. To be available in where? One object. List is there. List contain 11 functions. I want to design my own class to design my own functions. My own data I want to store. Definitely I need to go for which data type? programmer defined data type. To develop programmer defined data type with the classes concept, we need to use a keyword called what? Keyword called what? Class. We need to use it. You look at just now I shown you. When you went for what? List. When you went for list, what is the keyword they are using? Similarly, to develop my own class also, I will use the keyword called a class or not. To develop my own function, I will use a keyword called what? A DEF. Yes or no? To develop a lambda function, we use what? Lambda. To develop my own class, I will use what? Class. I want to store student number, student name, marks, something like college name, grade, and everything. Only that I want to store. List is not useful because while list is not useful, there is no concept of get student details, get marks, get grade. Such functions are not there now. Append to insert that functions are there. That functions are not useful to me. I want to develop my own data. I want to do my own operations. So I will go for which data type? Programmer defined data type. To develop programmer defined data type, to develop programmer defined class in other way, we use which concept? Class keyword. As you know that list is called what here? Class name. I will write in place of list student, I will write it. List is called one type of class. List is called one type of predefined data type. Class student, I will write it. What is student there? It is also a class. Which class it is? Programmer defined class. So every class name is treated as, come on, treated as which data type? Programmer defined data type. Programmer defined data type. Very, very important. Programmer defined data type. These are the things, and every Python program, every Python program must starts with what concept? Class concept. Without classes concept, there is no Python program. Tell me, definition of class I am writing. Definition of class. Come on, easy. Definition of what? Class. Don't define your college definition. Inside the class, what will be present? I said already. Specification. Specification means I said one best example. In your house, how many specifications means how many rooms you want, how many corridors you want, what will be the ventilations you want. Everything you are specifying or not. Today, I want to develop a class called student. A class called student. What I am interested, this is called class name. Class name is nothing but what? Specification. Inside of it, what I am specifying to store, number I am asking to store, name I am asking to store, M1, M2, M3 I am going to store, college name I am going to ask you to store. These are called what? Data members we can call. Spell out data members. Like room dimensions you are mentioning, here I am mentioning the data members. And here we are writing what? Function one, that is called what? Get to student details. It is a function. Display student details. Display student details. One function. Calculate total marks. One more function. Like that, I can take my own functions. These are called what here? Functions writing inside the class is called what? Methods. Beginning, it is a little confusion, but it is very easy for you. So inside the class, who will present? Because if you know already the previous programming, today is a dead easy. If you don't know previous classes and all, it is a difficult, obviously. Without studying first class, second class, third class, if you go to seventh class, definitely difficult only. So need to know previous concepts. Data members. Inside the class, who will present? Data members. Plus what will present? This will store which data? Customized data. This will perform which operations? So I'm building my own class, what to store, what things to store, plus I'm specifying what operations to be done. All business apps will be developed by with whoops only. Are you following me? So what is the definition of class? A class is a collection of data members and methods. In data members, what we will do, and these data members doesn't have the memory space, methods doesn't have the memory space. Memory space will be coming for the data members and methods when we create what? Object. So Whatever you have written inside the class, they are reflecting to what? Object with memory space. So you are storing which data? Number, name, marks of 3 subjects and everything, college name in object. On that object, what operations you can apply? These many number of operations you can apply. Operations are nothing but what? Functions. When I write function inside the class, that is known as what? Method we can call. Are you following me? What is the definition of class? A class is a collection of data members plus methods. When we define a class, memory space is not created for data members and methods, but whose memory space created? When we create an object. What are all the things you mentioned inside the class? Same thing will be reflected as it is to the object with the memory space. So to create an object, definitely what to be developed? Class. Otherwise, you will get name error. You have to follow that. So I'm going to take some small explanation. I want to give it. That explanation I want to show you. That part I'm going to show you, students. There I'm going to take a class concept I want to show you. Please read this once. The purpose of classes concept is that to develop programmer defined data type. To develop any real-time applications, we use class. The purpose of developing programmer defined data type is to store customized data to perform customized operations. Customized data means you are taking your own variables, that is called data members. Customized operations means you are taking your own functions. Already you know how to develop functions. That we are calling it as what? Methods in Python. To develop any programmer defined data type by using classes concept, we use a keyword called class. Class. Programmatically, every class name is treated as a programmer defined data type. Every Python program in OOPS must start with the classes and objects. Definition of class, very, very important. A class is a collection of data members and methods. Functions in OOPS are called methods. Understand? Now, so what is another difference? If you reuse functions in functional programming, it takes memory space. If I reuse functions through classes through inheritance, it never take memory space. There is a difference. When we define a class, there is no memory space is created for data members and methods, but whose memory space is created when we create an object with respect to class name. What are all the data members and methods available in class which are appearing as it is as a part of what? Object with a memory space. So that programmers can store the data in data members of object and performs operations on the data members by using of object by using methods. I think you are following me. So these are called, this is a class concept. In tomorrow class, when I come back, I will do the more explanation on the class and we'll do the coding on this area. So before coming, you read well and come to the classes. So online students, I think it is clear to you. And tomorrow class I'll go for the coding on what? Classes and object coding also I will introduce it. Don't miss the class. Carry on students. Online students, if any doubts are there, you hold on. I will clarify your doubts if any doubts are available. Thank you students. Don't miss tomorrow class.